Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Transformation, 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 transformation. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. I light my red candle this morning in acknowledgement of the first peoples of this land, Palomar Fellowship, and the place where I am right now is on the homeland of the Luiseno Nation and the Kumeyaay Nation. Deep gratitude this morning to Sam Beltran for sharing this video of Jacob Alvarado Waipu, who is the tribal liaison with San Diego State University.
Hauka, Noshkana Unachihi. I'm the tribal liaison of San Diego State University, and I'm now going to read the Kumeyaay land acknowledgement. We stand upon a land that carries the footsteps of millennia of Kumeyaay people. We are a people whose traditional lifeways intertwine with a worldview of earth and sky. In a community of living beings, this land is part of a relationship that has nourished, healed, protected, and embraced the Kumeyaay people to the present day. It is part of a worldview founded in the harmony of the cycles of the sky and the balance in the forces of life. For the Kumeyaay, red and black represent the balance of those forces that provide for harmony within our bodies, as well as the world around us. As students, faculty, staff, and alumni of San Diego State University, we acknowledge this legacy from the Kumeyaay. We promote this balance in life as we pursue our goals of knowledge and understanding. We find inspiration in the Kumeyaay spirit to open our minds and hearts. It is a legacy of the red and black. It's a land of the Kumeyaay. Hiachan, my heart is good. In your womb, in patches.
This is a sanctuary for those seeking their own answers to questions of faith. This is a sanctuary for voices lifted up for peace and justice. This is a sanctuary for those seeking companionship in their struggles and in their journeys. We've had significant struggles in our nation this week. Just in the past week, starting with last Sunday, we have had multiple shootings, and shootings are defined by 4 or more victims at the same event. So I'm going to read the dates and places of these shootings and ring a bell for each one. Last Sunday, May 23rd, Park Forest, Illinois. May 23rd, Youngstown, Ohio. May 23rd, Norfolk, Virginia. May 23rd, Paterson, New Jersey. May 23rd, Chicago, Illinois. May 24th, Bay Shore, New York. May 24th, West Jefferson, Ohio. May 24th, Inkster, Michigan. May 26th, Chicago, Illinois. May 26th, San Jose, California. May 27th, Durham, North Carolina. May 28th, Miami, Florida. May 29th, San Antonio, Texas. And May 30th, Miami, Florida.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. It's so good to see you all on a beautiful Memorial Day weekend. Today, we have a service composed of stories and storytellers. Some of these stories are told by people you already know, some by people you've seen virtually, but have not yet met in person, and one is by someone you've heard a little bit about, as he's the founder of our Plate Share this quarter, Lived Experiences, but you probably haven't heard from yet. Stories are important because they're a little like a roadmap of our lives with many layers. There's the big, long story that spans from the day we're born to the day that we pass. Then there's all those little stories in between. Our stories intersect here and there with other people's stories too. But each story reveals something about the person the story belongs to. These stories you'll hear today tell about lessons we have learned because we took a risk. Sometimes taking a risk is scary because it just doesn't feel familiar. Sometimes we get out of our comfort zone and we try something new and the results are, well, story-worthy. I'm so glad you're all here today to listen to these stories. I also hope that you'll do something a little bit risky soon, like meet a stranger who will become a friend, or try something new that becomes a fun hobby. Maybe it will even be something huge and life-changing. Sit back, relax, and take in all these wonderful words on this beautiful Sunday.
Susan, I'm going to ask you to repeat what you just said, please.
We invite you all to have your own chalice with you this morning as you light it. I light mine from my red acknowledgement candle so that I can light my Unitarian Universalist candle as well. Our chalice lighting words are by Kimberly Tomzak Carlson, a white cisgender Unitarian Universalist religious education leader. We are a people of memory. As inheritors of our ancestors' legacy, we hold their stories tenderly, gleaning wisdom from diverse journeys, united in hope for the future. Guide us to trust in love as we kindle this flame together.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
When I was a little girl growing up in Minnesota, I loved living in my imagination. I enjoyed thinking about all of the wonderful things in the world. I loved dinosaurs. We learned all about them in school: Triceratops, Brontosaurus, T-Rex. Those were fabulous. I also loved at night to listen to stories that my dad would read me from the Children's Illustrated Book of the Bible. That was also my favorite. I loved hearing all of the cool names: Nebuchadnezzar, Methuselah, who lived to be 969, Cain, Abel. I loved all of those names. It was so great. But one day I realized the Children's Illustrated Book of the Bible had no pictures of dinosaurs. It had all kinds of other things in the Garden of Eden, and I was so surprised. I went and I asked my mom, what is the deal here? I don't know if I should believe in dinosaurs or the Bible. And my mom looked at me and she said, you know you should believe in the Bible. And I said, oh yes, okay, I do believe in the Bible. And I went forward as a good Lutheran girl. But deep in my heart of hearts, I knew I also still believed in dinosaurs.
In 2019, I had a fabulous 70th birthday party. My son set it up, the food was delicious, the decorations were beautiful, the music was awesome. They set up a great sound system where we could do karaoke. And a few of us, some of them tipsy, did a rockin' version of Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. That's hard to do. At the end of the party, everyone said what a wonderful time they had. And I knew my 70s were gonna be cool. A week later, I heard the word pandemic. Doesn't compute. A week after that, oh my God, they've closed the schools. This is serious stuff. This could go on for weeks. Months and months and months later, we've had a lot of time with confusion and fear and depression. I remember checking in with one group and saying, all I can say is, I am so sad. But a lot of good things came out of it too. My grandchildren and I became much more creative and some fun stuff. I reconnected with people through technology. Some old friends, I made some new friends. My husband and I and the dog and the cat spent a lot more time together. I learned I could make a complicated puzzle of the solar system. And most importantly, I reconnected with Palomar UU. We had been gone for 10 years, and the virtual Zoom sessions made it possible for us to go back. I had a wonderful conversation with Reverend Beth, and since then have reconnected with many people. I feel connected. I feel like I can still do good in the world, even during a pandemic. It has been a lifesaver. What have I learned? Sometimes life is really hard. And sometimes it's beautiful. And then it's really hard again. And then it gets beautiful again.
I have to thank Patty Christensen and Linda Lewis there for their videos. Patty with her story about dinosaurs, and I believe in dinosaurs too, Patty. And Linda Lewis, I have tried to sing Bohemian Rhapsody. Thank you for your stories of risk. I hope you all will join me again this week in our congregational covenant. You know, I love it so much. In mutual love and grace, we journey together, grounded in profound respect for a diversity of beliefs and ideas, sustained by service and shared ministry, enriched through collective spiritual deepening, and a safe environment for all generations to thrive. Join me in this part. Together, we are more than we would ever be alone. Therefore, we promise to practice radical hospitality, mindful communication, and active stewardship. Thus do we covenant with each other.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. This is amazing. I love it. Way to start my Sunday. Thank you guys for having me and allowing me to share a little bit of my story. And I'm hoping we can make connection by the end of my sharing with you guys. So my name is Oscar Ortega, but I go by Oscarin, and there's a story behind it, and I'll share that with you guys in a bit. So I'm 35 years old. My story comes from is what starts in the hills of Oaxaca, Mexico. I'm a son to two young, still young Mexican parents who left their own families and their own community in Oaxaca for a better life at a very young age. So they were travelers at a very young age, and they happened to land in a place called Leucadia here in California. They had three beautiful men, and one of them was me at a very young age. They lived in the hills of Leucadia, Solana Beach, and Encinitas, Carlsbad, before the whole structures came about. And so my life, it's a little different. It's a little different. My life it's stories that we don't like to share as much because it's tough. It's tough to rebuild, reimagine those and relive those memories. But my life was based on trauma, and at a very young age, I didn't know what that meant. My parents were great providers. When they traveled, who would have thought that traveling would cost so much? To a different land here. They had to work. So they were not at home. We lived with other people, and other people became my parents. The streets became my parents. At a very young age, I experienced alcoholism, drug abuse, domestic violence. So it was very disconnected. But I got to tell you, it was a beautiful life. Living close to the beach and Oceanside, I was very, very grateful. Like who has the pleasure of doing that? So right around 14, 15 years old, I became an addict. I did a lot of drugs. I was super disconnected with myself, with my own family, and through school taught me how to be the best addict I could be. Who would have known that school was there to provide me drugs, not education? So at a very young age, I lived in the streets. I became homeless by choice, not because I didn't have somewhere to go. I was very disconnected because of this trauma, but I didn't know any better. 18, 19, I became incarcerated because of my drug abuse, and my history was just based on tough love, which is at that point was nothing but domestic violence at home. But I'm not sharing this because I want you guys to judge my parents or anything like that. It's because that's how we lived. They didn't know any better. Everybody was young. Mexicans don't believe on trauma and mental health. It doesn't exist. We're very religious people. We're very Catholics at home. We pray to God that things will be better the next day. but we don't focus on ourselves and our strengths to heal ourselves. So right around 23, I became a father. Wow, okay. 23 years old, became a father of a beautiful girl named Chloe. Oh my goodness, she changed my life without even knowing it. I had to learn how to love. I had to learn how to respect. I had to learn how to take care of others because I didn't have that experience within me. I did not know how to do it. So, and that's when I implemented myself to the education of trauma, emotional literacy, healing. And it was weird. I gotta tell you guys, that was super weird because it was stuff I didn't practice at all. But I loved it. I loved that I finally understood where my anger was coming from. I loved it because I finally understood why I was so dependent on things that made me feel bad. And I was hurting myself because I knew that others would accept me by becoming miserable with myself because of me. I just couldn't, I was a good person. I couldn't understand like why people wouldn't accept me because I was good at something. I was a good soccer player. I was a good musician. I was a good student, but no one gave me the time and effort. No one showed me love to just say, hey, dude, I could help you out. So right around when I was 25, 26, I learned about this study called ACEs study, and it blew my mind. Finally, there was this paper, there was this guy who came up with a study, and there was this paper that told my life, told my story in this 10 questionnaire. Like this is just crazy. It was bananas. I'm like, wow, where is this coming from? And I finally knew that I wasn't alone out there in the world, that people experience what I have experienced. I finally knew there was a symptom out there. There was a cause. There was something in there for me tangible to say, oh man, goodness, I've been looking for this all my life without even knowing it. And so I learned it, I studied it, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind that it was done on white suburbia. It blew my mind that it was done on people who had a perfect life. And even then, they suffered. And I couldn't really imagine that study was done in my own family, my own community. Man, that's serious. That's super serious. So at that point, I knew I had to do something. Came back into my community, which I live here today. It's called Crown Heights in Oceanside. And I started seeing the same thing happening over and over again. I see young kids are still suffering the way I suffered. So I had to do something about it. I opened up this nonprofit called Lived Experiences. And the idea was simple. How do I use my own lived experiences, my own story, and also my own tools and my own education to help others ease their suffering and help them understand where this pain is coming from, where the same tools that I used. So that was 3 years ago. Lived Experiences started as a youth mentoring support program, and then turned into a youth drop-in center. And because of money, of all things within the church, I lost my space, unfortunately. We lost sanctuary. It started with 10 kids. At some point, I had 44 kids in there. And pretty much I had about 22 kids who were consistent in coming to my program. And the cool thing about it is that we talked about emotions, not on a personal level, like one-on-one. It was on a group level. If you guys go to my website, and I invite you guys all to go to my website, you see pictures of young kids leading support groups, talking about their feelings, talking about their emotions, their traumas without even knowing what trauma meant. We always talked about anxiety and depression because that was the most powerful thing we had to talk about. And they loved it. They made connection with other kids, didn't even know. And now how powerful is that? I wish I had that when I was young. So my story became somebody else's story, and their story became somebody else's story. And that's when I knew I built community. Because of the pandemic, we had to pivot to a different cause, which is fighting food insecurity. And it started with hiring my youth, to make tacos and tortas for our community, free of no charge. And it worked. The problem is it cost too much. I didn't have the money. And we started feeding like 100, 200, 300 people. We started connecting with other nonprofits. And let alone, we created a mobile food pantry program. Then now today, we service about 500 to 600 families per week, 10,000 pounds of fresh food per week. And we do it just without asking any questions. What is your name? How many kids? I don't know, just how much food do you want? And there's some trauma education parts of that. I mean, we understand the brain's made of memory. We understand it takes time to create memory. It takes 21 days to create long-term memory, right? We had to be conditioned to this type of memory. And then everything that we do is based on habits. Everything that I did as a young kid was based on habit. People taught me, people conditioned me to create a habit of addiction and violence in the streets in that community. So how do I use that power to condition and make love and bring love into the community on a positive level? Well, you bring rice and beans and tortillas, man, at least from my community, because that's our culturally sensitive food. So I did that over and over and over again. So now it's because it takes about 60 days to create create a habit, and it takes 90 days to master that habit. Now it's just the consistency part of the love that you got to bring over and over again. So it's been about a year and a half now that I'm doing this, and it's amazing. People are resilient. People change. People can be recoded. We don't talk about it enough. Like we have the ability to change for the better. And that's called healing, right? So now we do food insecurity, we fighting food insecurity, we do in our food pantry. But what else can we do? Now, one thing that I understand is that lack of education, lack of food, homelessness, right? Poverty is not a thing of charity. It's not a lack of money. It's not a lack of charity. It's a lack of justice. The more we get into this, is the more we start fighting justice, and that's where that's where it kind of drives me. That's when my heart starts boiling, because it's not that we are not capable of becoming a better person. It's not when I was younger. Again, when I was younger, I was a good kid. It's just that people didn't allow me to explore my creativity within me. And as an adult, I still see the same thing. It's a lack of justice that we're suffering here. Now we have to start fighting for that. Today, I'm trying to create a platform for kids and youth and parents to say, hey, dude, that belongs to me. I'm a taxpayer. You know, I paid for that at some point, some way, manner. I contribute to the society in a positive effort. Like my kids are suffering not because I want them to suffer or because they want to suffer. It's because you're making them suffer. You're depriving my kids of a good of education. So that's where lived experiences became to be now, which is super cool. It's super powerful. And it all started with the story of my parents. And that's the most beautiful thing ever. It started with the history of someone telling my dad, my mom that, hey, dude, there's a world out there. That's what the Native people taught us. Restorative practices, it's community-based. And that's why we have to honor the people who came before us and the people who are going to be here. And that's why we have to provide the best we can on this God-given earth, because we're all particles of this earth. We're all one. We all belong to each other. And the more we give back, because we take it all away from this earth, the more we put back, the better, healthier we live. So my story is not over. It continues to grow. There's many chapters to write. And I'm super grateful for the opportunity to meet people like you, people in this space of comfort, of love, of healing, that lets me be who I am, lets me be the best me. And I'm hoping I can provide that for my youth. So my goal for the next year is to get back my youth center, give back my space. And I invite you guys to please help me, not only me, but help others who are in the same space as me, who are doing the same line of work. Be part of the solution. Give to the support. Give not only financially, be part of it. Walk with us. You know, come help me pass off food. Help me. You know, I took 7 kids to Chicago a couple months ago. They never been in an airport. help our community experience what you've experienced at some point. Not in the negative part, but the positive. And together as one, we could live a better life. So I thank you guys for letting me share a little bit of my story. And I thank you guys for this space.
We thank Oscarin for his story of his parents, for his story, and for the story of lived experiences and sharing it with us today. And you know, each week we gather to affirm this community. Part of this affirmation is acknowledging all that we share with one another, our time, our talents, and our resources. We live our values by sharing half of the undesignated collection with a local nonprofit organization. This quarter, the plate share goes to lived experiences that you just heard about. If you are currently in a position to give or to continue making your pledge payments, there are several ways to do that, even in the midst of shelter in place. You can write a check and mail it to our office, work with your financial institution to set up auto payments, or pay through our database. It is very easy to donate through text to give. See the instructions on the screen or in the chat. have a story that was submitted by Michael Cosgrove, and I'm going to read it to you. Michael says, "Good morning, Palomar. I am Mike Cosgrove. I have not yet met any of you in person because of the virus, but I look forward to the times I've gotten to meet you in the patio time. I got involved with Casa de Luz about a year ago when at Chalice Church decided to build a house in Tijuana. They came and helped us figure out how to do the fundraising, and then they helped us build the house down in Tijuana. It has really changed my mission in life by providing such a powerful way to help people that are in need. In the last year, because COVID shut us down in Mexico, we have been planning to start building here in the United States. Last Saturday, we started our first build here in San Diego. If anyone is interested in getting involved with our UU nonprofit organization, please give me a call at 442-237-2059. We always need fundraisers, builders, painters, organizers, decorators, miscellaneous helpers. Looking forward to meeting you in person, Mike Cosgrove."
And thank you, Bob Boyd, for sharing a story with us today. Here are Bob's words. My story has become one of constant self-analysis. For much of my life, and especially in these turbulent times, I've wondered what prompts human behavior, especially destructive behavior. Being a slow learner, it finally occurred to me that if I ever hope to understand others, I need to understand myself. I found that memories of past life events were more vivid if they were those that I regretted. Why did I do that? Why did I say that? Why didn't I reach out or intervene? Am I greedy? Am I uncaring and self-centered? How can I be better? Much as pets can be conditioned to perform tricks for food treats, do I perform tricks on Facebook for likes? I expect to have this all figured out soon. Thanks, Bob. And here's a story that Jack Paxton sent in, a story of missed opportunity and regret. He suggested this nonfiction book. It's called Climate Change Denial, Heads in the Sand. Jack says, most aren't willing to listen, and the few that do aren't willing to be inconvenienced. The book was written in 2011, and we are still in need of this message. Thank you, Jack.
How yes and no changed my story. Have you ever wondered if you had said yes when you said no at a point in your life, it might have changed everything? When I was younger, I said yes a lot of times when I should have or wanted to say no. It got to the point that I mostly said yes. In fact, I said yes so often, people rarely even asked me things anymore. They just assumed I'd say yes, and my life went on that path for a very long time. My story wasn't really my own. Then I came to a point where I wanted to say no. And by the time I got there, it was so very hard to say no and sound like I really meant it. I would kind of whisper, no, in a small voice and look away. It really didn't convey my message, and my life story was still not going the way I wanted it to. I found myself participating in many programs designed just for women like me who needed to find their strength and their voice. These were women who needed to learn how to say no and mean it. Well, I started practicing, and I sure did learn to say no. I even bought a shirt, and it said, "No is a complete sentence" on it. I learned to roar the word no. I started saying no to everything, and I said it loud and proud just as often as I could. No, I don't want to go on a date with you. No, I don't want to eat Brussels sprouts at dinner. No, I don't want to go to the movies. No, I don't want to talk to them. No, I don't want to work there. No, I don't want to take that class. No, I don't want a pit bull. I was feeling proud of how quickly and confidently I could now say no. But then I started thinking about all the people who were trying to include me in their lives and their experiences that were kind of new to me. And I started wondering, what would happen if I started saying yes, just every now and then, sometimes? I decided I could still say no when I really wanted to, but what if? How would my story change if I started saying yes just here and there? So very cautiously, I started experimenting with saying yes in small places. I still mostly said no, but I worked in a little yes here and there when it felt right. I said yes to some dates. I said yes to Brussels sprouts and found one way that I liked them, just one. I said yes to seeing some new movies. I said yes to talking to people I didn't know very well, and I made some new friends. I said yes to trying a whole new field of work I had never imagined before, and I had some adventures. I said yes to some classes in college that opened my mind to new possibilities and points of view. I said a very enthusiastic yes to pit bull ownership. Very quickly, my life story started taking a different shape. People, places, and things that I had shouted some pretty authoritative no's at were becoming a big part of my life. Pretty soon, I became a Brussels sprout eating, pit bull owning, adventure having, homeless outreach coordinator who watched movies with her new friends after her communication classes let out. And I even had my new husband, of all things, at my side. My story got really interesting. It got really exciting. It changed quite a bit. It was a really important part of my story when I learned to say no. But it was even more important part when I learned that sometimes it's okay to say yes as well. The really important thing I learned was when it feels right to say no, I should do that. But when it feels right to say yes, I should do that too. And that is my story.
You've got to do when the Spirit says do. You've got to do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you've got to do, oh Lord. You've got to do when the Spirit says do. 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 Spirit says do.
The thing about no is that it can lead to regrets. It can be other people's no that sets a limit on where we're going, who we are. Like Holly said, other people's no can make our story not our own. But when I look back at my past, her story, it was my own no's that sometimes limited me. I took the comfortable route, the safe way. I avoided risk. And then before you know it, it's too late. It's too late for me to join the Peace Corps. It's too late for me to become a forest ranger and all those physical challenges. I think it's too late for me to learn to surf, and certainly too late to learn to fly the trapeze. Too late to work as a traveling nurse. And the biggest regrets, the ones that really sting, are those personal connections with other people that I missed by avoiding risk. And I know also that new risks will pop up in my future. I can, if I choose, and if I have the nerve, say yes to them. So I thought today I would do something really risky. You see, sometime back in the depth of the lockdown, I started every morning by listening to a particular song, and I sang along. It was a cheerful song. It really set the tone for a really good day. And I did this for maybe a month before it kind of faded out. I forgot about it, and I had other interests and sang other songs. Well, this month of May, that song came back to me. You see, it was the day after the women's retreat. It was a nurturing, fun weekend, virtual weekend with women from Palomar Fellowship and a lot of other places. And I just woke up that Monday morning singing my fun, happy, cheerful, beautiful song. But I thought of risk and I thought of regrets. I wondered what it might be too late for. And well, I sang. Now, back when we were meeting in person, if you stood next to me, or maybe even just anywhere near me, and could hear me singing at the top of my lungs, then you know this is a risk. And it might even be too late. But, well, I love to sing. I really miss mingling our voices together. I know you probably miss that too. And now we know that that's risky to do, even if we have the most beautiful voice in the world, and we don't want to take that risk. None of us need it. But we can still sing. Yes? Here goes. I'll not be contented with yesterday's glory. I'll not live on promises, winter to spring. Today is my moment, and now is my story. I'll laugh, and I'll cry, and I'll sing. Today, while the blossoms still cling to the vine, I'll taste your strawberries, I'll drink your sweet wine. A million tomorrows will all fade away, ere I forget all the joy that is mine today. Yes. And now it's your turn.
It is your turn. Don't let Susan down. You've got to sing. You've got to sing when the Spirit says sing. You've got to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you've got to sing. Oh Lord, you've got to sing when the Spirit says sing. 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 Spirit says sing.
Deep gratitude this morning for all of our storytellers, all of our risk takers, and for our tech support, Michael and Maritza. Kimberly, thank you for the music. Oscarin, thank you so much for your story and your reminder that we all belong to each other. We are a multiplicity of stories and of beings. And as we go forth, we honor yesterday, the people who have gone before. And we honor our future. My prayer for Memorial Day every year is that every child is raised in so much love and empathy that they would never, ever want to hurt anyone. And we honor today, as we go forth, say yes to connection. We can be together virtually, and we can be together in person soon, following parameters that we are receiving in our ways to connect. After a lot of study, a lot of discussion, a lot of review, our board has approved ways for us to be together in safe and meaningful ways. So maybe I will see you in person soon. And I hope to see you on our patio as we connect after this service. We'll begin our patio time about 10 minutes after this service ends. So please join in our meeting mode patio Zoom so we can see and hear each other. And now we share our voices together. Although we extinguish this flame, we carry in our hearts the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment until we are together again.
For those of you who know this next song, it has two parts. I'm just going to sing the top part. So, you know, bring what you have and what you want to the table and join Susan in singing. Right, Susan? Now let us sing to the power of the faith within. Sing to the power of the faith within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the faith within. Sing to the power of the hope within. Sing to the power of the hope within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the hope within. Sing to the power of the love within. Sing to the power of the love within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the love within. Sing to the power of the joy within. Sing to the power of the joy within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the joy within. I'm going to go ahead and invite us to go in peace, to be makers of peace. We do have patio time. If you are unable to join us virtually, thank you so much for being here today. As Susan said, keep your eye out for opportunities to gather safely coming up. And meanwhile, we're just gonna we're gonna sing through. Now let us sing one more time just for fun. A reminder that it is faith, hope, love, and joy. So please bring all of those to the table, even as we know we are people of many, many things. Thanks everybody for their stories, the music, and continue to bring your story to the table. And if you're in Breeze, you can get Michael Cosgrove's number there on our database as well. Awesome. All right, let's do that again. Sing to the power of the faith within. Sing to the power of the faith within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the faith within. Sing to the power of the hope within. Sing to the power of the hope within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the hope within. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Now let us sing to the power of the love within. Sing to the power of the joy within. Sing to the power of the joy within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the joy within. Thanks, everybody.